Well, good afternoon, everyone. On the bench, Kenwood TS-50 HF transceiver. The owner sent this in, said it had a problem that when you turn it on, the frequency came up for just a couple of seconds and then it disappears. No transmit, no receive. And I will go ahead. I've got power connected. We'll put the dummy load into the back just in case it's in the transmit mode, and we'll zoom in on the display just a little bit. And we'll hit the power button and see what happens. Hello, there's a frequency, and sure enough the frequency is gone. Okay, so you have to wonder what's causing this problem. So at this time it can be pretty much anything that's causing this, from a loose connector to microprocessor failure to a leaky cap on the front board, or anything going on. I don't think the microprocessor is completely failing, but something is causing it to fail. So go ahead and get the case off and we'll have a look, see if we can figure out what's going on. So when I had the case off, I went ahead and checked our battery on the processor board just to make sure it was okay, and there was no problems there, which I didn't think there would be, but sometimes it doesn't hurt to check the simple things like that. I want to go ahead and get this speaker out of the way so it won't be hanging down on us. And I think I'm going to go ahead and pull the front panel just to make sure there's nothing that's sticking in here. Already got all the knobs off. And try to eliminate the easy stuff first. Okay, front panel is off. Apply some power. Yep, and same problem. So it doesn't look like a button that was stuck in. I'm going to go ahead and pull this front panel off so we can get in here and look at this board and see if a capacitor has leaked and caused this issue. Okay, I got the front panel out, got it under the microscope. I want to take a quick look around. See if we see anything that doesn't look right. And what do we have here? Yep, just like that 47 microfarad 16 volt capacitor has leaked on the board. If you look close enough, you can also see where it's leaked down here into these vias. But you can see how corroded that up is there. So yeah, that could be causing a big problem. And checking that capacitor, this is what we get: open circuit or low capacitance. Looking at the back side of the board, that's that one of those vias, and if you look real closely right there, you can see where the electrolyte has soaked through that via. So that could be causing a lot of issues itself. So I think what we need to do is go ahead and replace that capacitor. When we get the old capacitor off, we'll clean this board real good and see what we get. As you can see here, our solder pads do not look that great. The negative side is completely black, and all that electrolyte has seeped right on down here and at the bottom and right by that via there. So we're going to have to clean all that up. Not much pad there to work with. Looks a little better. Okay, we got those cleaned up. You can see where it's eat part of the pad off up at the top, and there's a hole right in the middle of the ground. Well, I scraped off a little solder mast on both sides of the V on the traces, here on the front side and the back side. Check continuity and no continuity between the two, so that little via is gone. So all I'm going to do is get a fine piece of wire, poke through it and solder it on both sides to the trace, and that should take care of that problem. Okay, so fixing the, you know, there was a problem on the board with that cap leaking, but you know, that did not fix the problem, and I didn't really expect it to. And it's mostly just by working on so many of these radios, you run a lot of faults. Here on this side we have the digital board, and just below that we have the PLL board. So the digital board interfaces with the front panel and then into the PLL board. So what I'm going to do is pull this PLL board out, and let's have a look at it and see if we see anything that's out of the ordinary. Okay, I got a PLL board out, and I'm looking over it, and I'm already seeing a few things that don't look quite right. This C80 is definitely leaking, and also C186 is leaking. So I want to see what those two capacitors do in the circuit. First thing I want to do is check them for short to ground. And we have 23K on that one, and we'll check this one on this side. And we're showing about 600K. So they're not shorted, but I'm really curious to see what rails they are on. Okay, I found C80 right here, and you can see the trace on the schematic is red. And right here we found C186. Both of these are 47 mics at 16 volts, and it is also connected to a red trace. Now if we look over here, we'll know that anything that's connected to a red trace is going to our 8-volt source. And checking those two capacitors with our peak atlas meter, we can see that both of these are showing in circuit leaky, and you know, we can see that by the evidence on the board where they have physically leaked. So I'm going to go ahead and replace the caps on this board. So I'm looking here for circuit damage around these caps, and you can see this little black dot up here on this trace that C186 is silk screened on. And there's a couple of vias. Most of these are ground stitching here, so they shouldn't be too much of a problem around those. But we look at C80, we can see a via up here right on that little corner where it's all black at, so we're going to have to tackle that one too. A couple of vias here around here are ground stitching, so they won't be a problem. But you can see just how this one has leaked. There's a via here on the end of this rail that may be a problem also, so we'll probably have to repair that. Sorry about the lighting on this camera. I'll use a fluorescent tube on this, and there's no way to adjust it. I have got to get me a proper LED ring that's adjustable to go on this microscope, so that would help sometime in the future to get that. So I'm going to go ahead and get these two caps off, and probably have to remove this 100K and clean up around it, and then check these vias here, especially that one just there, and we'll see what happens. Okay guys, so here we go. I got those two caps replaced. I did had to run some fine wire through those vias to get continuity on on each side of the board. But I got the board back reinstalled. Got the front panel here just sitting here. Hold it up. We'll reach in, we'll hit the power button. And there we have it. We now have a solid display. So let me get everything here buttoned up, and we'll check and make sure transmit and receive works. Alright, so our TS50 is now back working as it should be. Receives good power out on transmit. I was just turning around the band, sort of dead here this morning, but you know, that's expected with no sunspots. So as you can see, you know, I hear a lot of people says I have a TS50 and I never have any problems with it. Well, I hate to say this to you, but if you haven't done anything to it, you have been lucky. It's not a problem of if it's going to fail. It is a problem of when it's going to fail. And these era radios, the Kenwood TS50 and I think the 830s, 840s, all have problem with those SMD caps leaking. And what happened is there's a seal in the bottom of it and it just starts leaking. You might can open yours up, check the capacitor, and it checks okay, but if you look, you might also see where it did leak on the board. And usually when it starts leaking on the board is when it's going to start causing problems. I can go ahead and tell you that sending these radios off and having them recapped and repaired is very expensive. It's not cheap, but it's also good insurance. If you decide to you know, do one yourself, don't even bother trying to desolder those capacitors from the board. And especially on this board, the way these boards are made, do not grab the capacitor and twist it off, because if you do, you will twist the circuit traces right off the board. The best way I found to remove these is to use a pair of diagonal cutters and get right in here near the bottom of the aluminum and just clip it off, and then pick the plastic part out, and then put a lot of flux on the board, and you can remove what's rest of the leads. If you twist these off, the circuit traces are coming out. Even trying to desolder these, it's probably going to rip a trace off. Especially, you know, if it's already leaked on them. Now, good quality boards, you can get in there and you can almost pull these things off and the circuit board would be fine, but on these TS50s, I don't suggest desoldering or twisting them off, because it will take the traces off. Cut them off with a capacitor and clean it up with some flux and a solder in there. Anyway, this one's back together. I just got to put the case on and button it up and get it back to the owner. So I hope you learned something on this, and we appreciate you stopping by and taking a look. So into the next video, we'll see you later. Bye now.